Well, hello. Welcome again to another broadcast. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Today is January the 15th, 2026. You see there? I got it right this time. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week so far. It was another beautiful day out here in sunny Arizona. And today, another great broadcast for you. We're going to, of course, touch on this latest lawsuit. It's like everybody getting tagged with lawsuits these days, but this one is tagging a gospel singer, and many of you know his name is Donnie MacClurkin. Well, we'll get into the details, or at least there's someone that I'm going to play for you that's going to get into the details of it. We're also going to get in and talk about, we'll just mention very briefly, yet another distraction that's out here for the masses. And just some of my observations on it. And it's just like, why are we, it's just really something. I don't know. I'll just share my open thoughts about it. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. Okay, I'll tell you. It's that little almost fight that took place on a certain person's podcast. We'll talk about that. We're also going to get into, while that's happening, what the ADL is openly telling people what they're not only going to do, but what they're actually doing now. I told you guys this stuff was going to happen in 2026, and we're here now, and it's happening. So, and then maybe some other things I'll touch on as well. But again, welcome to the broadcast. Let's go ahead and get in some music here, and then we're going to wait for a few moments to get some people on here, and then we'll get started.
They took me from my window, put me under neon lights. Said, grow the same, don't ask why. And somebody else is climbing. Told me, still I learned to bend towards something. Still I learned to save my joy. I grew quiet, I grew careful. Learned to dream. Still alive, still standing tall. If I haven't reached my glory, that don't mean there's none at all. That don't mean there's none at all. They keep measuring my pedals.
All right, there's Sabatree.com. Make sure you check out our website. Again, the website is Sabatree.com. And right now we are doing a big push for our internet. Keep cutting off here. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, I'm still here. But yeah, you ain't gonna find it, but we got it here at Sabatree.com. And we getting stuff right now. We getting the bottles in and labels printing, and we're doing this our citrus sale, big citrus sale we got going on right now. Oranges and lemons and grapefruit, and we going right to the farmer from our beautiful brown hands to the box. We're wrapping it up for you and shipping it, and that's going to start at the end of the month. So go ahead and get your orders in, get in line. We're getting that stuff out for you. Again, the website is Sabatree.com. Make sure you check us out. Hey, come on. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome again to another broadcast. So glad that you guys could join us. Really appreciate it. Big shout out to everybody, of course, that's coming in the room and getting your seat and all of that. Really appreciate each and every one of you. And so, yeah, so again, make sure you check out that website, sombertree.com. Also, make sure, again, we're not playing around with the digital library. The digital library, it is my goal to get as many of our people as possible reading books, not reading posts. Just sticking to post. I know we post things on our page here and on YouTube, but that's just an entry point to get you to the books, to get you to the source, right? But our goal is to get our people to start reading books. And you're going to see later on in the broadcast why that's so important. I don't know if y'all been catching what I've been telling you. I told you again, when you approach these LLMs like ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, when you approach it, you don't approach it. The worst thing you could do is approach it with an empty mind. You need to come with some knowledge already. You understand what I'm saying? And I'll explain that again for those who still don't get that, because again, it could tell you anything. And a lot of times people just copy paste and go with it. But if you don't have the knowledge yourself, you'll just be repeating things that they want you to repeat. So so check out our page, our what is it called? The post page or whatever, right here on YouTube. And you will see I have the instructions there step by step on how this. It's $9.99, y'all. It's not $9.99 a month. It's $9.99 period. I just added some more books today. Over 700 books. I'm closing in on 800 now. I'm not playing. We're going to keep adding more books and more books and more books and more papers, research papers. Y'all, I'm going to tell you something a little bit later on in the broadcast, what I really feel in my heart. I believe we're going to start seeing happen this year. And but it's going to happen by way of people equipping themselves with knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's going to, that's something's, something has to give. Something has to give. So anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit, but I want to play for you this video. It's a woman who is talking about Donnie MacClurkin. Now, I know many of you are familiar with him. He's the guy that says, "We fall down and get." Anyway, I'm not going to try to say, but he sings that song. And that was a very popular song back in the day. And it still kind of is, I guess, depending on if you're still in the church or whatever, they'll play it whenever they're going to play it, right? And, and so make sure you, so this video is really, really something else, because the woman, she actually does a breakdown on, this lawsuit. And again, it's all allegedly. These are allegations or whatever, but I'll chip in. I'll mention something in that in momentarily right after the video's playing. Okay, so let me right now get the video up here. And so it said Donnie MacClurkin basically is James Cleveland, if you're not familiar with that. But let me get this up here. Okay, hold on for just a sec. Give me just a moment. Where is it? Because I tried to download it and it wouldn't let me download it, so I had to do something else here. Hold on. It's right here, and it's right here. Then I have to do a copy link, and then we're going to paste it here. Come on, man. Come on. You could do it. Shoot. All right, here we go. Let's try it again. All right. I guess I'm going to have to send it to myself here. Hold on. Because it ain't happening here. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. There we go. I'll just send it that way. I had to text it to myself there because for some reason it ain't working there. Okay, so let's see. Copy, paste. All right, here we go. All right, hold on for a second here.
I'm not a lawyer, but I read the 15-page complaint, so let me walk you through exactly what is being alleged. Trigger warning, this lawsuit contains allegations involving sexual assault, sexual battery, and coercion. So this is your warning. Okay, so the lawsuit was filed by a man named Giuseppe Corletto, and according to the complaint, Corletto first met Donnie MacClurkin in August of 2003 when Corletto was 21 years old. Corletto had recently read MacClurkin's book, Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor, which is an autobiography that details the childhood abuse that MacClurkin suffered, as well as his struggles with homosexuality and his belief that he was healed and delivered from it. And so, since Corletto says he was also struggling with his own sexuality in light of his religious beliefs, Corletto sought out Donnie MacClurkin in search for some guidance. Now, at this time, Donnie MacClurkin's church, Perfecting Faith Church, was holding services outdoors, which was referred to as Church Without Walls, where people would share their testimonies about being delivered from homosexuality, prostitution, drugs, and some other things. So Corletto goes to one of the services. He ends up meeting Donnie MacClurkin afterward, and according to the suit, Donnie MacClurkin prayed for Corletto and assured him that he would help deliver him from homosexuality. However, the complaint says that after that church service, one of the ministers from the church, who was apparently also struggling with homosexuality, began contacting Corletto and even showed up at his house unannounced. So Corletto is uncomfortable with this, so he starts missing services and contemplates leaving the church. But then, according to the lawsuit, Donnie MacClurkin reached out to Corletto personally and told him that the minister was being dealt with and that the whole situation was a test from God that Corletto had passed. From there, Corletto and Donnie MacClurkin develop a mentor-mentee relationship, and MacClurkin even hires Corletto to work as his personal assistant. And it's at this point, according to the lawsuit, that the allegations begin. The lawsuit says that while Corletto was working for Donnie MacClurkin, they would have, quote, pray the gay away spiritual sessions, and during these sessions, MacClurkin would allegedly touch Corletto without his consent. The suit also says that Donnie MacClurkin would set up interactions between Corletto and other men and then frame these interactions as, quote, tests from God. As an example, the suit says during a trip to the Bahamas, Donnie MacClurkin set up for a male model to go to Corletto's hotel room. And after Corletto was successful in resisting this model, Donnie MacClurkin allegedly praised him and told him that he passed another test. The next incident that's detailed in the lawsuit is from a 2007 business trip to California, and the suit says that on this trip, Donnie MacClurkin had actually brought his girlfriend at the time along with him. However, at some point during this trip, Corletto goes to MacClurkin's room, and while he's there, MacClurkin takes off his pants, exposes himself, and then pulls Corletto onto the bed, forcibly kissing and touching him. Corletto says he cried and objected and tried to tell MacClurkin to stop, but MacClurkin went on to orally engage with him. And then the lawsuit says that over the course of the next 6 years, incidents similar to that California hotel one continued to happen, including an allegation that Donnie MacClurkin would secretly touch and grope Corletto before he would go up to preach. Some of the incidents that happened during the course of those 6 years happened in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Long Island, New York, Donnie MacClurkin's home in New York, a park in New York, and a hotel on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And in that particular incident, the lawsuit says Corletto attempted to leave the hotel room, but the door was locked. Now, the lawsuit says Corletto did try to quit working as Donnie's assistant multiple times, but MacClurkin would deny those requests and tell him his deliverance and his purpose were tied to MacClurkin. According to the lawsuit, Corletto also tried to report MacClurkin's conduct to church staff members, but none of the people he informed did anything. So ultimately, in 2008, Corletto says he stopped working for MacClurkin, but because his new job was at a Christian broadcast network, he still had to encounter MacClurkin. By 2012, Corletto ends up getting a new job. This time it's working for an airline company, but according to the lawsuit, his encounters with Donnie MacClurkin didn't stop. The lawsuit alleges that in April of 2012, MacClurkin appeared uninvited at a hotel Corletto was staying at during his airline training. Corletto says he didn't want to let MacClurkin in, but because he didn't want to cause a scene, he eventually let him in, but told him he did not want to be intimate with him. Despite saying that, the lawsuit says Corletto was woken up to being touched by Donnie MacClurkin and eventually being fully violated by him. So, more time passes since that incident, and the lawsuit says Donnie MacClurkin begins pressuring Corletto to live with him in California. He also continues to show up at airport gates where Corletto is working. He pressures Corletto to rejoin his church. And then the final incident detailed in the lawsuit happened on June 26, 2013 in Niagara Falls, New York. According to the suit, Donnie MacClurkin assaulted Corletto while they were in a hotel room, but this time, Corletto was able to push MacClurkin off of him to make it stop. Now, 2 days after this Niagara Falls incident, Corletto says Donnie MacClurkin sent him an apology email, which says, quote, "The first thing I want to do is apologize again to you. I know I apologize for my wrong attitude from Wednesday, but I want to apologize for all of my behavior that has been wrong and put you in a wrong place. I am the actual epitome of a desperate, dirty old man, pawning and groping a young man who is just looking for a friendship and close platonic relationship with someone he once looks to for help, guidance, and spirituality. I was trying to go to a realm of sexuality that wasn't right and wasn't right for you, or me for that matter. I feel so foul, so stupid. I'm old enough to be your father and want to be something else to you. You don't have that desire for me, and I shouldn't have it for you. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I am really embarrassed at how I am and how I acted. You're far too important to be treated like that from me or anyone. I'm not helping you in any way by doing this, and I'm only making a fool out of myself being so desperate. I have no one, and I feel it more than ever, but I was horribly wrong trying to force you into something that you were consistently saying no to. I am too old to be like this. I won't be that to you again. You didn't come back for this. My loneliness is mine to deal with. My desire for you is not right in the way that I'm feeling and handling it. I will be a friend to you and pastor if you'll allow me. But I won't be this broken old man so desperate for you that I violate my purpose in your life and become this. I love you and want you to become who you're supposed to be. I will work on me. I hate being lonely and alone, but I have to go through it, and not like this. Let's move on from here. See you later this or next week. Pastor." Now, according to the lawsuit, in November of 2015, so 2 years after the Niagara Falls incident, Corletto was struggling with his mental health and decided to go back to Donnie MacClurkin's church. But he says while he was there, he experienced even more sexual misconduct. And so that gets us to 2026, where Corletto is now suing Donnie MacClurkin. And his first cause of action is violation of the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act. Corletto's second cause of action is sexual assault, and then his third cause of action is for sexual battery. And this again is for all of the incidents that he detailed throughout the lawsuit where he says Donnie MacClurkin violated him. Now, Donnie MacClurkin's attorney has publicly denied these allegations, calling them categorically false and saying, quote, "At no time did Pastor MacClurkin engage in any form of sexual abuse, assault, or sexual coercion of Mr. Corletto. The claims set forth in the lawsuit grossly mischaracterized their interactions, which occurred over a decade and some accusations over 2 decades ago." Donnie MacClurkin, of course, will have to file a formal response to this lawsuit, not just the public statement from his attorney.
Get out of this, and so it's not playing again in the background and all of that. Yeah, a lot of things to unpack there. A whole lot of things to unpack. I think I'll just start off with this. Number one, that was not a situationship. That was a whole relationship. I mean, that, you know, if you're a man, all right, an adult male, and you are portraying this as you were just kind of like existing, and then this man comes along and kind of like finds his way in your hotel room, and then finds his way doing the, you know what, using human microphone. I'll just leave it at that. He just finds his way doing that. He just finds his way groping. He just finds his way. after a while, and this was going on, I think they were saying about 6 years. Okay, so you're now dealing with a whole relationship. So that's number one. So I'm not, so again, I'm saying let's get an accurate view of this situation. Number one, right? There's more to it. There's more that I could say on this, and it's this: is that you remember I have been saying over and over again that the church is a LGBT organization, LGBT/Black feminist organization. This is it right here. Let's go back. Donnie MacClurkin, I believe, was discovered by Marvin Winans, if I'm not mistaken, if I got the story right. Marvin Winans heard him singing in the church or whatever, and was very impressed by him, of course, and was like, but yeah. So let me get here, because I want to bring this picture up here, because we're gonna look at it together. All right. As I'm talking, I just want to bring this up here. Okay, here it is. All right, let me bring that up here. Okay, so this is Donnie MacClurkin. Now, I remember when he was, had just was like coming on the scene and all of that. And, I said back then, I said, this man's gay. I mean, y'all, he's gay. I mean, it don't take a scientist. It don't take a whole series of questions to figure this one out. I mean, even then, I mean, I saw I said, this man is gay. I mean, I don't see him doing the act or whatever, but this man, clearly he's just got that whole look. But yet people around him, let's stop pretending and acting as if people in the church didn't even pick up on any of this. Now, the story was that he was just coming out of that life and all of that. And, he has an anointed voice, and hey, God can use anybody and all of that. And that's it. But even if you're coming out of that, there's a lot of, in the overwhelming majority of cases of people who are in that lifestyle, is usually rooted in some type of trauma that took place in their life. See, I'm not really interested in the whole praying the gay away thing. I'm interested in getting to the heart of the matter. What caused you to get to that point in the first place? And what you will find, like I said, again, is usually anchored to some type of trauma where people actually need some real help. But in the church world, when they see a young man, well, at that time he was a younger man, when they see somebody that's talented, but they immediately will go and say, okay, this is anointed. He's anointed, or she's anointed. They won't go in and say, okay, well, bro, you okay? Hey, well, once you come, let's talk some more or whatever. Let's find out some more or whatever. The church will automatically bypass all of that and will automatically go to talent. And these are so-called leaders. Like in the case of Marvin Winans, these are some of the supposedly most anointed people, but yet they're all, with all of that anointing, they can't see past the fact of what we're looking at right now. They can't see past that. They just hear talent. And not only do they hear talent, they also see money. So let's get that right. How can I pimp out this homosexual to make more money? So let's get that right. And that's what a lot of them do. Remember, I told you in the last broadcast, I said the world is a very dark place. Remember I said that? And so here you go with all of this, going on. This is evolved and all of that. And he's got all this stuff going on and all, all the gay stuff and all of that. And like I said, again, allegedly, okay? But if even half of that stuff is accurate and true, I mean, he showed the email. I mean, bruh, you sent an email. You done pretty much made his case right there. I mean, with that email. And so, but this kind of stuff, it gets promoted in the church all the time. All the time. It gets promoted in the church. And so you have men who go to these institutions seeking some type of help and all of this stuff, but instead they end up themselves oftentimes getting abused. And yes, I have done several videos on this, that you do have abuse going on in these churches. And I'm talking particularly black churches that have been going on for years. And it ain't just the men. You also got some of these church mothers that engage in that too, with the little boys and the little girls. But see, nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to go there. Oh, that's mother so-and-so, she a little whatever, but it's okay. But mother so-and-so a lot of time be touching on these little girls. Or deacon so-and-so, he be messing around with some of these boys. And these demonic people in these institutions, and I'm not saying all of them are like that, but many of them are. They go along with it. And what do they say? Well, hey, listen, the gifts of God are given without repentance and all of that. They love saying that stuff. The gifts of God are given without repentance. So he's going to sometime bless somebody with a gifted voice. They may be as damaged as I don't know what, but he's just giving them a gift of talent. He's giving them a gift of talent. But what about your gift of healing? What about your gift of helping these individuals? But instead, what happens? People just overlook it. And the situation gets worse and worse and worse. And if you follow Donnie MacClurkin's trajectory, what's happened? This man not only has done records and albums and concerts and all of that stuff. He's not only done that. Man's also become a pastor or a bishop or something like that now. So he's got other people looking up to him. And let's come on. All of these people within the gospel music industry, you can't tell me that they know themselves all kind of stuff be going on. What was the young lady that came out recently and she was saying on that show Sunday Best, she said everybody was sleeping with everybody. Everybody was. So I'm asking you, for those of you who are Bible believers, for those of you who are Christians, I am asking you, how in the world can this be considered still anointed? How can you say that this music is set apart and is from God and child, it got me through and all of this stuff, but yet it's coming from people who are engaged in the very stuff that you're saying that you're trying to get away from? And if we were to actually measure, a lot of times when people say, man, that song, it just got me through. It just got me through. But then you go back to church the next Sunday and you're saying the same thing. Oh, I just had a rough week, but man, this other song got me through. And it's like you're just in this never ending cycle. This song got me through. This sermon got me through. Why are you always just getting through? You understand what I'm saying? I know we all got our challenges and our stuff we go through and all this stuff. But when I listen to the church folk, a lot of times, it sounds like they be going through the worst stuff than I'm going through. And they supposedly have access to the most anointed, highly things that came from heaven down to earth. But yet they still be struggling with some of this same stuff. And let me say this. Homosexuality is not like the ultimate sin. Because a lot of times people like to posture it as that. Like he committed the ultimate sin. No, it's not the baddest thing or whatever. I mean, it's something that needs to be closely looked at, right? But for a man, I'm a straight man. But as a man, homosexuality isn't like the worst thing, right? It's when you, as a man, do not have another person that you can go to for help, for guidance. Someone who's not trying to take something from you. And what do I mean by that? You got a lot of men out here, because you have the other side of the scale where you got like organizations like IUIC that will spend a great deal of time. We are men, and the whole, just go off on that scale where it's overly, I got to prove to you how masculine and I'm a man of God and all this other stuff. But when you listen to a lot of these men, when it comes to talking with how to talk with a woman, how to have a relationship with a woman, that kind of thing, well, there's some challenges there. Because a lot of times when you listen to some of these men, and I'm not saying all Hebrew Israelite men are like this, because that's not true, but you do have many of them who do feel like one of their biggest missions in life is to tell women what to do. In other words, you're to control the woman. You're to bring her to heel and all of this stuff, that kind of thing. Because, after all, we're fighting against black feminism and all of that. Like that's and feminism is a big thing, that we got to address. And we talk about that often here, right? But to always feel like your mission is to kind of browbeat women into subjection, and you got to remind her that her place is in a home and she's supposed to have the children and all this other stuff, and you feel like you got to always tell her that over and over again, well, that means that there's something imbalanced in you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying women don't have their own issues, because they do, and we talk about that here as well. But when you feel like as a man that you got to always go there, that's anytime you see a woman, you feel like you got to always go there, that's a problem as well. And quite honestly, I don't see that any different than when you're looking at someone's a homosexual. It both stems from something that took place where you need counseling. That's basically where it stems from at the end of the day. But what we do is we get so fixated on the act, right? But we don't want to look at the source. What led you to that, to get to that place? What led someone like a Donnie MacClurkin to get into this place? But then we can talk about the bigger issues of all the enablers that he was surrounded with. All of these gospel singers that knew he was the way he was, because they were engaged in a lot of stuff. And it just really gets me, because it's when I listen to people who are still in the church. Again, you could be in the church. I don't care. I'm not mad at you. I'm not angry with you. You're not my enemy. I don't look at you like that. But I'm just trying to get you to at least ask yourself, how can you justify this kind of, how can you support, how can you actually like see this going, this stuff is going on, but yet in your mind, you feel like your Bible God is still communicating through you, through this person to you. When your Bible God is saying he is holy, he is set apart, and he's got such high standards when it comes to dealing with sin and all this other stuff. But yet it seems like the only people he can use are some of the people who are doing the very things that he's saying he detests. I mean, I don't understand. And see, and when you bring it up, what do you usually get? What I'm getting right now, silence. Because nobody wants to talk about it. And this is exactly why you don't see men in the church. Straight men, they're not going to the church. So no, I'm not going to sit up here and beat up on Donnie MacClurkin and, this is a shame and how dare. I mean, if you going off on some dude like that, where he's been seemingly telling you, hey, back off, and you're still doing that. Yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong, right? That's wrong. And whatever the law says on how that needs to be handled, so be it. But the other side of it is, like I said, this was going on for 6 years. And you tell me this dude, he ain't got no strength in his body to knock him down on his face and have him fall down and not get up. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but this stuff goes on in broad daylight all the time. Like you heard in one of the allegations, they said, this stuff was so out in the open. And one of his allegations, he said before Donnie MacClurkin would hit this one time, before he hit the stage to preach, he groping the dude and then goes out and sings under the anointing, and people, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And like I said, again, y'all, this is 2026. And this is the year I believe we're going to stop being stupid. This is the year we're going to have to stop being stupid and dumb and ignorant when it comes to especially things like this. Because when I hear stories like this of men that are struggling and I get emails from men, sometimes they even watch me, that tell me, and I'm talking Hebrews, men that have reached out to me over the years and said they struggle in this area. Oh, they won't tell you this. They won't go in public with this. And I wouldn't expose them. Why? I go do that. But they're honest. And they say, hey, man, listen, I don't have any other man I could talk to. This is an area I have really struggled in. I don't know I don't know how to handle. What do I do? And they can name you all the scriptures. They can tell you law, statutes, and commandments and all of that. There are men that I have dealt with over the years that deal with the same thing that Donnie MacClurkin is dealing with, but also men who are in marriages that they are desperately trying to get out because of some things that are unsettled in their lives. And they need a voice of reason to help them, to guide them, to kind of help them, hey, to make better decisions. But there's things that in their life that you're going to need to, ultimately, bro, you're going to need to get some counseling. You're going to need to get some help. You want to rebuild, you want to build a strong community. It starts with the men, but not only that, it starts with men who are willing to face these things. And what I am telling you is in the past, the black community, we used to depend heavily on the church. What I'm telling you now, anybody in 2026 who still believes that the church should be the centerpiece or the foundation of a thriving, strong black community, you are very wrong. You are very, very wrong. Because the black church has lost its place a long time ago. It has. It's full of people who see this stuff happening all the time and they say nothing. They do nothing. The amount of stories I have shared in the past, we did a series on this, little children in black churches who have been abused, have gone through some very bad experiences, and nobody says a thing. Touch not God's anointed, do his prophets no harm. That's what it gets blanketed under. And some of you may have gone through that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm glad stuff like this is getting out. Another example I can give you too is, I'll mention this. You know how a lot of times these like different preachers or gospel singers, they'll say that they always will name a bishop, Bishop so-and-so, this is my spiritual father and all of that. And you notice the spiritual father never gets called out. Because here's the thing, I'll give you an example. Look at all the people that call T.D. Jakes their spiritual father. Look at all the people. I'm talking about preachers and singers and all of that. And now I want you to look at their marriages. In many cases, they have been caught creeping. They have been caught doing some very crazy things. There's a whole list of individuals that have called T.D. Jakes their spiritual father. So let me ask you something. This is very practical. If the children are having these issues, what do you think the father is dealing with? What do you think the father is putting out? If this guy is the spiritual father, what kind of energy you think he's putting out? See, I don't need for the media to expose T.D. Jakes and, he was at Diddy's house and we found him. We got video and all that. I don't need video. I don't need that. I don't need video. No, I just look at the people that call him spiritual father. And if I'm seeing that all these people that call him spiritual father, they're all struggling in the same stuff, but somehow he's like Teflon Don and never gets, that tells me everything I need to know. Donnie MacClurkin, the same thing. Who are the men that he looks up to, he's acknowledged as spiritual fathers? Well, I'm quite certain Marvin Winans is one. So if these individuals are engaging in all of this stuff, and at the same time saying that this person is my spiritual father, what do you think the spiritual fathers are doing? The so-called spiritual fathers. What do you think they're doing? It's time to wake up. It's time to be honest and to, and start asking these questions. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to live in fairy tale land and just, shift the blame and all that, and call you all kinds of names and all of that stuff. But we're not going to do that here. All right. We're going to try to be transparent and honest. We're not about tearing people down, but we are about tearing down lies. And it's time to stop doing that for real. I'm looking down here on the floor here. I have my notes here. Let's move on to the next thing here, and then we'll get to the ADL in a moment. But good to see everybody here that's joined us on this broadcast. So glad that you guys can join us. Really appreciate that. Again, this broadcast has been brought to you by SambaTree.com. SambaTree.com. Make sure you check out our website here. Black men fighting. Well, as if you didn't know, recently there was and I don't even watch these dudes. I used to watch one of them, or actually both of them, and I just stopped. I just didn't bother. But anyway, Corey Holcomb. Is it Corey Holcomb? Corey Holcomb, I believe, and Anton Daniels. Both of them have their own respected podcasts that they do. Corey, his is, I think, every other day or something like that. Whereas Anton, he's putting out content all the time. Anton, he's a dude that is, he's a very conservative guy, and he, he's very passionate about the things he believes in when it comes to politics, when it comes to the black community, when it comes to helping to build the black community and give out some solutions and all that stuff. Corey Holcomb, on the other side, he's basically a comedian, and all of his content is based off of making fun of people and, talking about people and all that kind of stuff. It's nothing really constructive that comes from him. He's a comedian. That's what he is. And, he says some funny things sometimes. I think for me, I'm kind of done with, I like comedy. Who doesn't? But I don't really do the whole raunchy comedy thing. So I don't really get into that. So that's why I kind of say I kind of pushed him off my radar for a time. But anyway, they did a podcast where apparently what was going on was that they were, Corey Holcomb had been saying a lot of things about Anton Daniels, saying that, he's seem like he's representing white people more than black people, all this. You're tearing down black people, all that stuff. Anyway, I am not going to play the video here, but you can go here on social media and you can find it. But I'm just going to summarize it real quick. Well, anyway, these two guys got together on Corey Holcomb's page. And long story short, it got into a very heated debate, argument. It was just a straight up argument. And where you see one getting to the face of the other and all of that stuff, and they were ready to go to blows. Now, both of these guys are older men. They are around my age, both of these guys, and they were about to throw down right there on site. And I sat there and I watched it. There was a couple of things I noticed that was really just sad to me, and it was just, I don't know, I just had to just look the other way. Well, one, of course, obviously seeing grown black men, carry on like this. I'm saying, y'all too old for this. That's stuff little kids do. And it was just over some dumb stuff. It was just some dumb stuff. It was really dumb. When you look at it, it was just really dumb. If you feel like looking at it, I'm not pulling it up. But it was just some dumb stuff. I mean, these old dudes are about to really fight like this. And I'm watching this. So that was like number one. I was like, wow, so much for setting an example for the next generation on how to have a conversation. But the other thing I saw, and it was probably even more troubling, I was looking at the comments. in the live stream. My live stream here is usually not very active. It's okay. I just assume people are listening. But, some people's platform, that comment stream is just going. I'm like, man, how do even people keep up? Because it's like flying, right? But I'm looking at the comments. And what I saw people like contributing. Like, how you can do the thanks button that, we have one. So you hit the little thanks button, really, you $5, $20, whatever it is. People were just literally throwing money at it. They're just throwing money at it. And I was sitting here and I said, I go through, these cycles when I do what I do here on social media. Because I was actually going through today, I was looking for a particular video of mine, and I was like, dang, man, I did a ton of videos on like a whole lot of stuff, a lot of details and stuff. And I just relinked to a podcast I did. It's called Tech Tribes, where I went all throughout Africa, and it's 11-part series where I talk about, all the technology, ancient technology that you'll find all throughout the continent of Africa that was buried and all that stuff. And I do these things because I enjoy doing it. I don't do it because I'm making money of it, because I'm not. But I do these things, because I know I when I'm putting this stuff out, I'm putting it out as if I'm putting it out for young people. I always think of young people, but I think of everybody really when I'm putting this stuff out. And it's just so that, it's for the record. Maybe somebody will pull something from it and get something out of it, whatever. Right. And so if you look through my resume here, I got a lot of stuff. And I sometimes I do so many things. I just do it and I just keep moving. I don't even think about it. I'm like, dang, I went through all of that. I didn't know that. Sometimes I'll find that I've done duplicates on things because I forgot I actually did a video on something a while back. And, I just do it just to do it. But then on the flip, I'll look at this video that I'm talking about where these two guys are literally going to blows. Bruh, people just, $20, $50, such and such. It's going after, laughing, very engaged with it and all of that. And then I go back and I said, man, when I do a video, and one of the things I noticed too is like when I do a video, anytime I do a video that's about fixing problems, like I've done many videos about how to fix this, how to, how can we properly address this and fixing the family. I found a video I did a while back where I said, these are the questions that young men should ask themselves if they're looking to get married. Ain't hardly nobody look at it. So I've done many videos like that. Or I'll do a video on this is how we can address some of these things from a health perspective, because we need to focus on this so we can start, getting our people out of these hospitals. Some people look at it. But let me do a video where I'm calling out somebody or talking about some problem. Oh, you well on your way. That's the formula. And so I go through these stages oftentimes where it's just like, why the hell to continue to do this? Why? What's the point of even continuing? Because here you got these two grown men that are out here fighting. Clearly that's what's in demand. That kind of tomfoolery stuff. But I'm using myself as an example, but please don't, it ain't just me. There are many, many other content creators that are out here that are doing stuff, and they're just doing it just because, you know what I mean? They just do it because they love it, or they, I'm going to show you how to do this, how to create this and do that or whatever. And man, nobody want to see that. Well, it's the algorithm. No, sometimes it's just people don't want to see that. It's of no interest. It's of low interest. unless you're tearing down somebody, unless you're gossiping about somebody, unless you're talking about, like when I came out of the Hebrew space, unless you're talking about, oh, did you hear the fires that broke out in Venezuela? That's God. He's coming back. Any given moment, destruction is coming. And I call it destruction porn. There's a whole genre of people who love destruction porn. They love anticipating the next destruction. And so if you were to do a series of videos where you're just talking about when the next destruction is going to come, oh, you'll get plenty of videos on that. You'll get plenty of views on that. You'll get plenty of people clicking, dialing on that. But let's talk about how we're going to, so we can avoid that kind of stuff. I don't want to hear that. And it's not just me saying this. It's many other people as well that I've come across. And a lot of people have just said, the hell with it. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done. So yeah, you go through these stages. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, dang, man, this is wild, man. It's like, what am I even looking at? Seeing these old dudes getting ready to throw down and people love it. And then you got people all in the comments on Twitter and all that. Well, yeah, I'm on team so-and-so. Well, no, I'm on team so-and-so. Over some dumb stuff. I mean, just dumb. It ain't adding anything. Well, see, that's how we do it in the D. Detroit. That's how we do it in the D. We don't play around here. Well, see, in Chicago, that's how we do. You talking like you in some freaking gang or something like that. Man, nigga, some of y'all be like 40, 50, 60 years old. Just sit down. You ain't doing nothing but sitting in your chair with your red cup. Them days are long gone. But people just, that's what they want. So I don't know. I don't know. I think at some point, we don't have to worry about them censoring people. I think some people are just going to straight up just log off and be like, the heck with it. I'm done. You know what I mean? Let me just focus on me and mine, and that's it. And I think that's where we're heading. I really do. I think that's where we're heading right now. People, sooner or later, you're going to start people just saying, I'm done, and team foolishness is one. If this is what people want, so be it. And that's where we are, I believe, So anyway, that was just something I noticed when I was watching it. It was just really quite depressing to see that. I was like, dang, man, this is nuts, man. Anyway, let's move on. Our final topic here. You remember I kept telling you guys, I said that in 2026, these people, you know who you are, the quote unquote chosen, they are not playing this year. They are not playing. They are going to be very aggressive in how they're going to do things in 2026 and how they're going to move and how they're going to operate. Because, see, while people are out here cheering on two old black men getting ready to go to blows, you got the ADL that's engaged in this kind of stuff here. I got like three videos here I want to show you real quick. They had some, I don't know if this is like a conference or something they just had, but I want to show this to you because I want you to see with your own eyes how these people are moving. Okay. So let me go ahead and pull this up here and we'll go ahead and hit the play button. Let's take a listen here. This is the head of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Let's take a listen. This one, he's talking about how they are partnering with the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. Take a listen.
A couple months ago, ADL announced a new partnership with the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. I'm sure you never heard of it. It is the organizing table for Latino evangelicals. Do you know the fastest growing segment of the evangelical community? Latinos. We have roughly 2,000 active synagogues in America. There are 42,000 active Hispanic evangelical churches. Right now, the ADL is co-writing Sunday school curriculum with them. Right now, the ADL is working on joint lobby days with them. And these people are not just gettable, they want to work with us. So again, I love the 1960s model of allyship. It's great, whatever. This is now. We need new allies. We need to be on offense, finding creative ways. So again, I can't create all the content ourselves, but Jews and Latinos, Jews, Latinos, and Hindus, and Mormons, and so on, you better believe we can change the world.
Now, did you catch what he said they're doing? He said they're writing curriculums for their Sunday schools. Curriculums for the Sunday schools of these Latino evangelical churches. They are partnering with these churches, 42,000 churches, writing a curriculum so that they can train and educate the children of Latinos, not Jewish children, the children of Latinos. Now, let me ask you something, FBA. Let me ask you something, ADOS. Let me ask you something. Where is your curriculum? Oh, you spent a lot of time on X, and you spent a lot of time on all these other social media platforms, but how are you training the next generation outside of the insults that you're throwing to people from the Caribbean, the insults that you're throwing to people in Africa, the insults that you're throwing to other immigrant groups? Where is your curriculum for just black folks, not Latino, just black folks? Where is your curriculum where you're training these children, black children, on economics, where you're training children on mathematics, where you're training children on diet, where you're training, where is your curriculum? What's it, on X, where you just throwing insults at each other? Checking hairlines? That's your curriculum? This is how these people move. This is how these people are moving. I told you, I said in 2026, these folks are not going to be playing. They're not. All right, well, there's more. Here's another one here. This one here. This is another one here, same guy. Take a listen.
So number one, we measure and track. Number two, we monitor and disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full-time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, monitoring extremists. We monitor them online, social media, messaging apps, video games, cryptocurrency, podcasts, short-form video, Wikipedia, LLMs. We monitor these people, and we share the intelligence with the FBI. You saw last month, you heard about the thing that happened at Wilshire Boulevard Temple. Our analysts investigated what happened. They said they were Koreatown for Palestine, this group of people. They weren't. We were able to ascertain they were from a group called the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Turtle Island is how left-wing activists refer to the United States. They don't call it America, they call it Turtle Island, like the Iranians call it the Zionist entity, right? They won't call it by its name. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, we gave them a whole dossier. What is Turtle Island Liberation Front? What are their ideas, their goals? Who are they? We identified the people who were in the synagogue. This was on Wednesday, December the 10th. On Monday, December the 15th, this is going to ring a bell. Kash Patel announced they cracked a terror ring where they arrested 4 people who were planning New Year's Eve bombings. Turtle Island Liberation Front. At least one of the people I know for certain was in the building at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, vandalizing it and disrupting the event. So we're monitoring left-wing radicals like the DSA and the anti-war crazies and the pro-Palestine crazies. We're monitoring right-wing extremists like white supremacists, armed militia groups. We're monitoring political Islamists and Christian nationalists, all of them. And then we train. We're the largest trainer of law enforcement in America, extremism and hate. We train 20,000 officers every year.
Now, the ADL, we've talked about them and their history. They have a very long history with the FBI, and this is what they've been doing. They've been doing this for a very long time. So they have a very long history in doing that. Am I suggesting that black folks, we need to develop a relationship with the FBI? I don't even think one can be even done at this point. And would I even suggest that? Definitely not, because we don't trust them. I don't anyway. But notice the organization. Notice the being very intentional in how they're moving about and how they're doing things. And you remember I did a video last year where I talked about the importance of Black folks coming up with our code of ethics when it comes with LLMs. I said this a while back. And this is when the earliest days of ChatGPT, when ChatGPT was actually just starting to be a thing. I saw where this was going. I said, Black folks need to do something where there is a code of ethics that is established for that industries across the board that are engaged in AI, they need to follow this. And the reason why I was suggesting that, it was because of the fact that when it comes to our history, when it comes to our story, when it comes to our information, it needs to be treated with not only respect, but it also needs to be accurate as well. And we cannot make room for foolishness. And there was some other things. I had a whole list of things I went through, and I was just very detailed on what this code of ethics should look like and all of that. No, I ain't interested in that. We don't care. And what's happening now? These Jewish people, what are they doing? Oh, they've been had their code of ethics. And now they are training the top LLM companies, the top chat AI companies. They are training these people right now on what to say, what information they want out there, what information they want suppressed. They're doing this. They've been doing this. And this is what I told y'all. I said, this is why when you approach these LLMs, you, particularly as a Black individual, it's not that notice I say they suppress. They're not necessarily eliminating the information. They're suppressing it. What's the key to get it unsuppressed? You have to come in with some basic knowledge so that, because it's all in how you ask the question. Because when you ask, if you have some pre-knowledge about a topic, it's going to give it to you. But if you don't know, if you don't have any pre-knowledge of it and you're just going with it on a blank slate, it's just going to give you whatever it prefers to give you. This is why I've been very adamant about our digital library. It's not, oh, I'm making a ton of money on it. Child, it's only $10. I mean, not making anything off it. It's not even about that. But it's access to preparing people so that when they do want to do research and all of that stuff, you're going in not with a blank slate, because I already know. I've been telling y'all this. ChatGPT will give me I'll be asking things, and it'll be giving me this vanilla sheet of information. And I'm like, okay, let me bring up this book. Now, this author said on this page here, let me screenshot the page and give you this. Okay, now I want you to rethink what you just told me, considering this information here. And then once I do that, it's like, oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. It does say that. I'm like, yeah, why didn't you bring that up before? Well, and it goes into this stuff. But it's not that you got to be an expert on anything. I'm not here to scare you on that. I'm just simply saying that you got to be careful when you're on this stuff, because you got groups like these individuals here that are already tweaking these things and letting people know, hey, listen, this is how things are going, this is the information we want out. And, it is what it is. Okay, quickly, last point. One other story I just remembered. Dimona. Dimona, Israel. Well, I've been talking about that. I've done quite a few videos on Dimona, Israel. You know who's out there, right? Hebrew Israelites, Dimona, Israel. If you used to pull it up on the map, it's kind of on the inland part of, you got Tel Aviv, which is on the coastline. Dimona is more south. It's out there. It's like out in the desert, but it's still Israel. It's considered Israel. And Dimona is, this is where you'll find the Village of Peace, I think it's called, but it's where you have a ton of Black Hebrew Israelites who moved there back in the 70s. And it's a huge amount of them that went out there. Why? Because they said that this is their promised land. This is the land that they believe that God has promised to them. And so they are working hand in hand with the Israeli government to ensure that they can continue to be there. One of the agreements that they had to make by being there is that their children have to, when they reach that certain age, they have to fight with the IDF. I did a whole video on that where the IDF has numbers of Black Hebrew Israelites fighting for Israel, going into Gaza. These are Black Americans. Okay. And I did a video. That's what I was actually looking for. I actually did a video where I was showing people on the map, what else is there. And you got this nuclear weapons factory right there in Dimona. And Iran just came out with a short video where they were kind of threatening and saying, yeah, we about to go off. Well, they just had an earthquake there in Dimona about a day ago. An earthquake in Dimona. Now, can you imagine earthquake hits Dimona? And that factory gets damaged? Who do you think the first people are going to going to catch hell? So I'm going to say this as in my closing here. I believe that 2026 we are going to begin to witness the fall of these false religions. And one of the false religions I'm referring to is Hebrew Israelites. We're going to start seeing the fall of that, where everything that can be exposed will be exposed. Because it's been too much BS that's been floating out here that has been misleading our people, creating more confusion, bringing in more damage. And it is time now for the BS to stop. It's time for it to stop. It's time now for people to start using their minds, using their brains, asking questions. It's time for that. This is the time to do that. And because it has to happen. In order for Black folks to move ahead, it is time. You cannot move ahead and still hold on to stuff that's holding you back. And what I'm saying is this is one of those things. We already are seeing, as we talked about earlier in this broadcast, the Black church has pretty much has fallen. And I think everything connected to it, you're going to see the same thing, which is Hebrew Israelites. That's the other thing. They may present themselves as being clashing with each other, but at the end, they all share the same Bible. So they're all on the same team. So it makes sense that anything connected to it, they're going to start crumbling as well. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more people, particularly young people, begin to start asking some real questions. And I'm already seeing it now. I just posted something the other day on our community page where people are asking some really good questions. But, you either going to be one of those people or you're just going to continue to go with it because this is what I always know and this is what makes me feel comfortable. That's fine. And I'm not here to clown you, to make fun of you at all. But what I am saying is this, is that you are going to be challenged severely. If not by people like me, it's going to be other people as well that are rising up now and they're starting to see through the BS. They're starting to see through the cloud of confusion. They're starting to see they're done with the self-hate. They're done with all of that. And they're saying enough is enough. It's time for us to rise up and start being truthful and honest with ourselves. And I strongly believe we're going to start seeing the dismantling of this stuff. That's why I saw that dude, what's his name, Cam Jones. He did that whole video thing. I don't know if you caught it here on YouTube. We was calling out these individuals on getting these fake PhDs. Well, I did I did my little small video a couple of years ago on the same topic, but I'm glad. I don't care, about that. I was glad to see that here you got this younger man doing it as well, and he's getting a bigger response. I was like, this is exactly what needs to happen. And I'm glad for him, and I'm glad to see the result of it. But there's going to be more of these younger people that are coming out and going to start exposing this stuff, Because see, the older generation, we've been tolerating this stuff. Oh, he's a PhD. Oh, he's got a doctor in front of his name. We got to respect him. Touch not God's anointed. Do his prophets no harm. See, this younger generation now, they ain't going to be dealing with that no more. They done with that stuff. They done with it. That ain't impressing folk anymore. Okay? That's not impressing people now. They're going to start at people got access to some of these tools that where they can find answers to things very quickly. They can actually correct you with facts in seconds. I was going back and forth with some dudes the other day on X or whatever. I was like, yo, this y'all, you trying to present these AOL CompuServe memes. We in 2026, man. We in 2026. All this stuff, man, this argument you trying to make, bruh, here's a paragraph right here. It dismantles all of that. You still using the little disc that you got in the mail from AOL trying to make an argument. That stuff don't work anymore. Well, I got this Xerox from 1970 something that says that we the people. Still using a Xerox. Who says Xerox? And that people don't know what the heck you talking about, man. It ain't working. It's not working anymore. But anyway, that is all I have for you in this broadcast. And if you have any questions or anything like that, as always, make sure you leave it in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to respond and all of that and whatever. Okay. But yeah, make sure you check out our digital library. As I mentioned, the instructions on how to do it. It's right in our community post page right here on YouTube. Get on it if you're not on it. Make sure you also check out our not YouTube page. Make sure you check out our sabatree.com. Sabatree.com. Make sure you check that out, okay? Anyway, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon.
Again and again. From the leaf to the bottle, yeah, we slow it down. No rush in the process, we let love come around. Yeah. Sun on the flavor, lime in the blend. Once you taste something real, you don't play pretend. Ain't no shortcuts, ain't no disguise. You can see it in the color, taste it when you try. Grown folks sip, yeah, it hit just right. Daytime cooler or warm late night. If you know, then you know what I mean. When it's brewed real slow, keep it clean. Let me tell you what it is, my friend. Brew.